Okay, so today we are doing an article about La France in French first, then we will do its English translation. Okay, so here we go. So please repeat with me. La France est l'un des pays
La France est l'un des pays
les plus visités au monde
les plus visités au monde
grâce à ses monuments emblématiques
grâce à ses monuments emblématiques
comme la Tour Eiffel
comme la Tour Eiffel
et le Mont-Saint-Michel.
et le Mont-Saint-Michel.
Okay, so the word emblematic. Emblematic means symbolic. Okay, emblem, you know emblem. Okay, symbolic. Good. Elle est également, elle est également reconnue pour ses performances sportives
Reconnu pour ses performances sportives
dans le football,
dans le football,
le tennis
le tennis
et le rugby.
et le rugby.
Depuis des siècles,
Depuis des siècles,
la France a été un centre majeur de la philosophie,
la France a été un centre majeur de la philosophie,
avec des penseurs comme Descartes et Sartre.
avec des penseurs comme Qu'est et Sartre.
Very good. Très bien. Depuis des siècles. Siècle means century. Since many centuries, France has been a major center of philosophy with thinkers. Penseur. Yeah? Penseur is a thinker or a philosopher. So there was a guy called René Descartes. You are a maths person, right? Maths student, Shashank. So you must have heard of René Descartes, right? Okay, and Sartre. So there was a philosopher called Jean-Paul Sartre. Now he was so famous and he was so talented that he won the Nobel Prize, but he declined. He won Nobel Prize for literature, but he declined. He said, "No, I don't want Nobel Prize because he had some differences." Okay, so he declined. Okay, let's continue. Le pays brille aussi dans les arts,
Le pays brille aussi dans les arts,
notamment
notamment
la musique, le cinéma,
les musiques, le cinéma,
la bande dessinée et le théâtre.
la bande dessinée et le théâtre.
Okay, so here they are talking about the arts. So what are the arts? Music, cinema, bande dessinée. Bande dessinée means comics. Okay, bande dessinée is comics. Bande means strip, dessinée is drawing. Okay, bande dessinée. So in France, comics is also considered an art. Okay, not in India. Like in India, we don't consider comics as an art, but in France they consider comics. And same with USA. Okay, all the Spider-Man, He-Man, Mickey Mouse and all that. That's considered an art. Okay, let's continue. La gastronomie française est célèbre,
La gastronomie française est célèbre,
en particulier pour ses fromages
en particulier pour ses fromages
variés
variés
et ses vins raffinés.
et ses vins raffinés.
Good. So gastronomy means cuisine. So French cuisine is famous for cheese and wines. So cheese is fromage. Yeah, and fromage means cheese and vin, V-I-N-S, vin means wine. Right? You know French wine. So most famous French wine is what? Champagne, which is the sparkling wine. Champagne comes from an area called Champagne in France, and it is most famous. It's famous all over the world. Any sporting celebration, you can see champagne being poured, and wonderful. Okay, let's continue. Les grèves sont fréquentes en France
Les grèves sont fréquentes en France
car les Français défendent activement leurs droits sociaux.
car les Français défendent
Activement leurs droits sociaux.
leurs droits sociaux.
Good. Grève. So grève means strike. You know strike? Where people, people hold demonstrations, strike. So the strikes are very common in France because the French people they defend their social rights. So just like in our country, like in Kerala or in West Bengal, okay, these are the two places which are famous for strikes. France also has a lot of strikes. So there are a lot of strikes of, especially all over France, but in Paris, like metro strike or strike of public transport and other strikes. Okay, because in France they have a very strong trade union. Okay, there's a trade union. Okay, done. Okay. Historiquement, la France a colonisé plusieurs pays africains.
Historiquement, la France a
Colonisé
colonisé
plusieurs pays africains,
plusieurs pays africains,
laissant une forte influence culturelle.
laissant influence,
Une forte influence culturelle.
influence
Culturelle. Okay, so historically, France colonized a lot of African countries, just like England, United Kingdom colonized a lot of countries where English is spoken. So, in the same manner, France colonized a lot of African countries. Depuis 2005, depuis 2015,
depuis
15,
2015,
la menace terroriste reste une préoccupation majeure,
la menace terroriste reste une préoccupation
majeure pour la sécurité du pays.
majeure pour la sécurité du pays.
Okay, so since 2015, that is, we are in 2025 now. So, since last 10 years, the terrorism threat is very strong in France. Okay, because same like just like our country, India, France is also facing a terrorism problem. Okay, but earlier France was not bothered. Earlier France was not cooperating with India. But since last 10 years, they are cooperating extensively with India and even politically also. Like the French President Emmanuel Macron, he has come to India so many times. Our President Mr. Narendra Modi, he has also gone to France so many times. So a lot of cooperation is happening in different spheres, especially the security. Okay, because both the countries face terrorism threats. Okay. Les Français aiment voyager et découvrir d'autres cultures.
Les Français et voyager et
Découvrir d'autres cultures
découvrir notre culture
à travers le monde.
à travers le monde.
Good. So the French people they like to travel and discover other cultures. So French people are very good travelers. They not only travel within their own country but also go abroad. So they go abroad to many countries of Africa. They come to Asia. They go to USA, UK. UK is very close by. Okay. So French people they like to travel a lot. And when I say travel a lot, it can start with a weekend trip, a short weekend trip to neighboring countries or long trips, long summer vacations, winter vacations, okay? Because in France they get a lot of holidays, okay? Finally, the plus,
De plus,
les jeunes Français apprennent et parlent
les jeunes Français apprennent les parler
de plus en plus l'anglais
de plus en plus l'anglais
pour mieux communiquer à l'international.
pour mieux communiquer à l'international.
So, moreover, the young French people, the young generation, okay, what do you call Gen Z or okay, what is this current generation called, Sashank?
Then we
Yeah. So the Gen Z, they not only learn English but also speak good English because they have the exposure. They are exposed to uh, English culture, American culture, okay, the global culture, and they are the ones who speak more and more English to communicate better globally or worldwide. Done. Okay, so that was the task. Okay, now we are just going to do one reading. Okay, where because you have got the overall meaning, but now we'll do the literal translation. Okay, word by word. Okay, so repeat with me. France is one of the most visited
France is one of the most visited
countries in the world
countries in the world
thanks to its iconic monuments
thanks to its iconic monuments
like the Eiffel Tower
like the Eiffel Tower
and Mont-Saint-Michel.
and Mont-Saint-Michel.
Okay, so Eiffel Tower everybody knows. Mont-Saint-Michel is a kind of monastery. Okay, so it is also very famous. A lot of people go over there. Okay, it is also known for its sporting achievements.
It is also known for its sporting franchise
Achievements
achievements,
in football,
football,
tennis, and rugby.
tennis and rugby.
Yeah. So France is doing very good in football, tennis, and rugby. And as far as tennis is concerned, every summer, that is in the month of May or June, French Open tennis tournament is held, right? Okay, and it's a clay court, and it's very famous. Okay, let's continue. For centuries,
For centuries,
France has been a major center of philosophy
France has been a major center of philosophy
with thinkers like René Descartes and Jean-Paul Sartre.
with thinkers like Lalit Rao and Jean-Paul Sartre.
Okay, now the interesting fact about philosophy is that, contrary to our country, India, where moral science is studied is taught in schools. Okay, many schools they teach moral science, but in France, no, they don't teach moral science. They teach philosophy, the critical thinking, the art of critical thinking. And in France, they have one of the toughest example that is called BAC. So BAC is just like our 10th standard exam, and the BAC exam start with philosophy paper. So the first paper is of philosophy, and the the funny thing about this philosophy exam in BAC is that whether you have taken any stream you have taken, whether you had science or commerce or humanities, everybody has to study philosophy and everybody has to appear for this exam. Okay, because in France they want to preserve this critical thinking. Okay, how will people become critically got it, critically aware unless they don't study philosophy. Okay, let's continue. The country also shines in the arts.
Uh,
The country,
your voice is
yeah,
not.
yeah, can you hear me, Sushant? The country also shines
The country also shines
in the arts,
in the art,
including music, cinema, comics, and theater.
including music, cinema, comics, and theatre.
Okay, so French cinema is very famous. Okay, then music, as far as music is concerned, they are French are again like they are into pop music, rock music, classical music also. Comics,
Yeah.
comics is considered a very major art, and there's a comic book festival also. There's a festival of comics where they invite all the comic artists all over the world, and it is held in a small town called Angoulême. Okay, it is an annual event, and it's attended by many people. Okay, millions of people, and theater, of course, theater. Okay, French gastronomy is famous,
French gastronomy is famous,
especially for its varied cheeses and fine wines.
especially for varied cheeses and fine wine.
Okay, so whenever French cuisine is discussed, people talk about cheeses and wines. So there are over 100 varieties of wines and over 100 types of cheeses. Okay, strikes are common in France
Right? A common in France,
as the French actively defend their social rights.
and the French actively defend their social rights.
Okay, so I just mentioned that they are very conscious philosophically, and politics is also a branch of philosophy. So that's why they are aware of their rights, and that's one reason why there are a lot of strikes, because anytime there's some kind of disagreement with management, people go on strikes. Okay, office workers or even students, if they are not happy with the way things are being taught in schools and universities, they go for strikes. Okay, historically France colonized several African countries,
Historically, France colonized several African countries,
leaving a strong cultural influence.
giving a strong cultural influence.
Okay, so we know that England colonized India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, many Asian countries. In the same manner, France colonized Africa, and some of the countries which have been colonized by France are Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, and a lot of these African countries where French is spoken. Okay. Since 2015, the threat of terrorism remains a major concern
Since 2015, the threat of terrorism remains a major concern
for the country's security.
for the country's security.
Okay, so in 2015, first they had Charlie Hebdo. There's a cartoon magazine called Charlie Hebdo. They had attacks over there, and then they had a rock music concert going on. So even terrorists, they went over there, attacked innocent people and killed many people. So for 2015, the threat of terrorism is very high. Okay, remains a major concern for the country's security.
Remains a major concern to the country's security.
The French love to travel and discover other cultures around the world.
French love to travel and discover other cultures around the world.
In addition,
In addition,
young French people are increasingly learning and speaking English
young French people are increasingly learning and speaking English
to better communicate internationally.
to better communicate internationally.
Okay, now this is a very important point to note because the old generation, they were not bothered much about English language, but the young generation, like all the open-minded people, okay, like all the youngsters of the world, who are more into what's happening internationally. Okay, now in our country, the phenomenon of K-pop is very, K-pop, K-drama, they are very popular. In the same manner, see this K-pop and K-drama and all this international, kind of stuff. It was not there in India, let's say 2 decades or 3 decades ago. Okay, but now due to the global influence, the reach of internet, everybody is, and even the lingo has changed. Okay, people are speaking mixed language. Half, in a given sentence, they speak half of their mother tongue and half of it English and all that. So same with, okay, so in French language also has been affected by this kind of phenomenon where a lot of English words are used. Okay, but that is for another class. Okay, so that was the text about France. So general idea. Okay, so quickly we will do a quick recap. So it is first is one of the most visited countries in the world thanks to Eiffel Tower. Then because of sporting achievements, okay, France is famous. Then France is famous for philosophy. So all the great thinkers came from France. Many great thinkers came from France. René Descartes and Sartre. Then France is also famous for arts. Its achievements in arts. So arts, music, theater, and comics. Then it's famous for its cuisine because of its wines and cheeses. Then politically, France is very active. So strikes are very common. It's a common feature in France. And then if you go back in history, France colonized a lot of African countries, and as a result of which, a lot of people from Africa and North American descent, they are living in France. They're the second generation people. So you can see in France, especially in Paris, a lot of Algerians, Moroccans, Tunisians, and many African people. And there's one particular area in Paris. It's called 18th district. If you go over there, you will find that you are in some African country. You'll not feel that you are in France. You're not in Paris. Okay. Then, of course, terrorism is a global threat all over the world, but France is also affected, just like our country, India. So 2015, since 2015, before 2015, not much was happening, but in last 10 years, a lot of things have happened. So 2015, you can say, is the year, from which the French, they are feeling the threat of terrorism. And finally, the youth of France, like youth of any country, so youth of France are actively learning English and even speaking English, because earlier what used to happen with the old generation, that they would learn English only in school as a second or third language, but not practice it. So mostly they'll be learning grammar and some passages. But now the scenario has changed thanks to internet and latest multimedia technology. They are speaking also. Okay, so if you go to France, chances might be that you will be encountering people, you will be meeting people who can speak English, especially youngsters. Okay, so this was a text about La France, both in English as well as French. Okay, so the best way to learn this text is to read it 3, 4, 5 times. Make a note of all the key points and vocabulary. Okay, so that's how we can do this text. Okay, so this was La France. And in the next text, we are going to discuss the city of Paris. Okay, thank you very much for paying attention.